Eyes is the latest slasher film to hit theaters. This film takes place on Valentine's Day. You have these two young people, Jay and Allie, played by Olivia Holt and Mason Gooding. They meet under some like meet cute kind of circumstances. Maybe there's something there as far as like a romance, but the serial killer that's been active for 5 years, only on Valentine's Day, hunting down happy couples, has targeted them, even if they're not even officially a couple. So now they have a fight for their lives going on Valentine's Day night. When I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, okay, after the recent success that was Thanksgiving, this is Spyglass once again, and they've had good success with the recent Scream movies. You know, this is them trying to do another slasher movie set around a holiday. Okay, what is it? Is it Eli Roth making this again? And when I found out it was Josh Rubin, I got really excited. He's directed a movie called Scare Me, which was a really good one. But the thing I really love from him is Werewolves Within. I thought that was a fantastic whodunit, this whodunit comedy with Sam Richardson in the lead, based on a video game, technically. It's so good. It's so good. Would highly recommend that one, and I've been antsing to see another film from him, so when I found this out, that he was like kind of stepping up with the Sony big leagues, I was like, okay, let's see what we got here. And the fact that he's working with a screenplay with 3 writers, one of them being Christopher Landon, who previously worked on both Happy Death Day films, and the other co-writer is someone who worked with Christopher Landon on Freaky, another movie that I enjoyed. I was like, okay, we might have something here. I really hope this is good. I would be so disappointed if this let me down. And something about this movie is that, yes, it takes place, you know, on Valentine's Day. It is a slasher meets a rom-com situation. The thing is that you have to be able, when you're combining these things, you have to nail both. You can't just say it is this, but then only focus in one area, not give people enough of one certain thing. So that's the thing I was kind of looking for. Like, can this be a great mashup of like a rom-com and a slasher? And when this movie opened, it has a fantastic opening, like, kill sequence, a string of kills that is wonderfully played out, perfectly done, but it's also very funny. They're taking like the certain theatrics that people take with romance and doing a bit of a parody with that, that I really quite enjoy. Like, people in the theater were immediately clued in, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be a ride. People were laughing. But then for the next, I want to say like maybe 20 minutes or so, like maybe 20 to 30 minutes, you'll have these sprinkles of like your reminders that there's the Hard Eyes Killer somewhere. You know what I mean? You'll have Devon Sawa or Jordana Brewster as the detectives going around, you know, seeing what they can find from the latest kill. But there's really not a lot of him. So despite these like few sprinklings, it's like they stop just so they can start building up your characters. In this instance, your couple, Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt. They go full rom-com, you know, and I thought that was excellent because they have their meet cute situation. There's a bit of strife between them. There's a bit of a, we got to get over this, you know, emotional hump that we have in order to be together, if that's even what we want to give a shot. They play out those rom-com beats, those traditions, you know, even, you know, Allie has even like a comedic sidekick best friend named Monica, who is like trying to give her advice, trying to coach her. And it's like, it has every single like rom-com thing, like even the fact that it's filmed with like these bright lights, it doesn't feel like a horror film. Like, for a bit, there's a part of me that's like kind of forgetting, like, oh yeah, Hard Eyes is gonna show up at some point. I just don't know when, so that when he does and they go back to like slasher, they have built up the characters, you know, the characters that you are going to be following, that you should be rooting for, and you actually will be rooting for them because they've spent so much time on this comedic work, but also character work where you feel a connection with them and you want to see them kind of be happy. You want to see them, even if they don't end up together, you want them to be on the right path. Especially Allie, who we get a little bit more of her in the beginning, played by Olivia Holt. She is just trying to get over an ex-boyfriend. She's trying to make a name for herself in her company, her like marketing job that she's doing, and a recent fumble isn't helping. So you're really also like hoping for the best for her, so that when Hard Eyes is now got his sights set on them, you're like, oh fuck, you know, like it really amps up the intensity. And Josh Rubin is a great filmmaker enough to recognize that, so he does the rom-com stuff really well, but really then locks in for the slasher stuff. There are some really great sequences in this film, some really great kills, really imaginative, like a little bit over the top, but you know, fun kills, because it's a slasher. You gotta expect that, right? It's so good. They are able to balance like the two different kind of crafts for like your rom-com movie and then your slasher film. Like your cinematography for both is pretty great. You know, your musical scores there are different. Like the rom-com stuff utilizes more of like the soundtrack stuff. Play like a pop artist doing a romantic song or like an old like a 50s kind of love song. And then the slasher one, that's when you get your traditional like horror movie music. And I just found that really inventive. And throughout this movie, I was just so happy with what I was watching. You know, Josh Rubin, from a director's perspective, saw the potential from the screenplay of mashing these together but making it work, how genius that is. And throughout the movie, even though it does lean more into the slasher stuff at that point, they never abandon what they set up in those like beginning 20 or so minutes with Jay and Allie. Like they still follow through on that, you know, it's still woven in, and it works so well. It never starts to feel like a Friedberg and Seltzer movie, but there are plenty of very funny parts where they ride that line with you're supposed to be in suspense, but you can't deny this is kind of funny. One scene involving them hiding out in a van at like a drive-in movie theater, and something else is going on, won't spoil it. And that's not even scratching the surface of like what they get to play around with in that sequence. That's all I can really say. It's like they recognized a certain thing, like we're gonna continue to do like your rom-com thing of like building a character moment, like having a heart-to-heart, but it's now placed in like this very silly situation. It never undercuts anything also. So it's like, it's both things, you know, they're able to work this in so well. Gosh, I really loved so much of this movie, you know, and I was kind of walking out like, I don't know if anyone else is going to love this as much as I did, but I'm always won over by a screenplay that surprises me, that takes some creative risks. The only thing I can say really negatively about the movie is that there are a couple parts, filmmaking-wise, where I'm like, well, you know, the lighting could be a lot better. I feel like something would stick out to me a lot more if I could see the image a bit. Like there's a certain kill, and the thing that they are doing is so cool when you get a glimpse of it. You know, it's a great little moment. It would have been a great jump scare, but the problem was that I'm watching it in the theater and I'm like, oh, I'm not really getting that in all of its glory, you know? And I was wondering, like, maybe it's just the theater thing. Maybe if I watched it later, you know, maybe if I watched it somewhere else, it would look better. But after hearing it from a couple other people, like a friend of mine who also kind of said the same thing, it's like, okay, yeah, I think maybe it's just, it's part of the modern, you know, filmmaking thing of trying to light it naturally, but sometimes you lose a lot of a great image that way. But those are like just a small, like barely a handful of moments where I was like, maybe that could be touched up on. Overall, though, the impact those are supposed to make still land. I just really love this movie. You know, I do enjoy where the movie went, the story went. I know some people might start rolling their eyes at like the third act, you know, your Scream or Thanksgiving, like, you know, killer reveal stuff, like, you know, their monologue or whatever. I thought it just lended itself to the comedy still, you know, like they really are working in like this like romance angle to every single degree they can. And I thought it works so well, you know, it plays into the comedic nature of it, you know, they have fun with it. And it works narratively. It's not a thing where like, oh, that doesn't work. How did they even make that? Like, no, narratively, it still checks out. I know some people have said like, you know, that this could maybe be the start of another, like, you know, they're making a Thanksgiving 2. Maybe this could be the next Scream, starting up a franchise. If they do, you know, we'll see how it goes. We'll take this movie by movie. But as a self-contained movie, I really love this. I love everything that they are going for as far as like dealing with the cynicism that comes from romance and these things that play out in these rom-com sappy ways, but still like not being like totally like, you know, nihilistic to that, like still being able to find some kind of hope, some kind of purpose to keep searching for love even through these wildly killer circumstances. But I'm gonna give Hard Eyes an A. I should have known we were in for something special when I found out Josh Rubin was making it, but I still walked out of this still very surprised by what they had done. I love that he attached himself to this original film that was telling this original creative story, and directing-wise executed it very well. Mason Gooding and Olivia Holt, their chemistry really can't be undersold, you know? They really do make that rom-com stuff work so well. That's the thing about any kind of rom-com, not even just this, is that it only works as well as the two leads, and those two just, you know, they're fireworks together. Like, I want to see more movies with them at least. It doesn't have to be this, you know, more of this. It can be other stuff. I'd love to see them keep working together. Yeah, everything worked for me. The comedy, the kills, you know, great technical display for the most part for both sides of the filmmaking. I cannot recommend this enough. I know we're past Valentine's Day, but hopefully more people give this a shot because it really is a fun movie. But if you've seen Hard Eyes already, leave your thoughts in the comments what you thought of it. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.